Hi, everyone. This is Linda and Colby, and we are the creators of Once in a Lifetime. And we are here today with Mr. Sean Wallace, who plays second newscaster in our podcast. And we are just delighted to talk to him a little bit. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're doing
It's
very
great to see
well.
you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, long time. It's
It's
been
been
a
a
long
while.
time.
Yeah.
It
It
has been.
has.
Yeah. When was the last time you
COVID
saw
sucks.
Sean?
Oh, it was in the studio, wasn't it? For
Oh, that's right.
back in
Yeah.
June, I think we did
Yes,
that.
it
Yeah.
would have
Yep.
been in the studio. I'm thinking the time before that might have been Music Man. I came out to I don't know if Colby was with me. Were you with me the day I saw Sean and Music Man? Did you
Yeah.
see
I
Sean and
don't
Music
remember
Man?
Colby being there. I remember you, but I don't think
I
Colby
think I
was there
went
for
with
me.
Dan, actually.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think
Yeah.
Colby did come to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering if this is why did his video quality go dramatically down? I guess we're going to have to
I
look
So
think
into
did
it's
that.
yours.
Okay. So then,
yeah, but it's just because it's recording locally and it's uploading at the same time, so we're gonna see that. But
gotcha.
the final version will look good.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm
Good.
glad that we were able to
Yeah.
clear that up for all of you tuning in.
Good.
Um,
Good.
all right. So,
Off
Sean.
without a hitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sean, did you want to introduce yourself a little bit to all the very, very many thousands of people who will no doubt see this on YouTube?
Sean, and I play the role of a newscaster on the podcast. I've been active in the theater in Maine for some time, and I had the pleasure to work with both of you on a movie project in 2017, which was an absolute blast. And
There's absolutely no way we would have had the year down that quickly. Like, I'm glad you had that.
oh,
I knew it was
yeah,
2017. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
oh yeah, I
Wow.
know it
I don't
all.
remember that much.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh trust me. And
Yeah.
I had fun acting as a newscaster. And so
Absolutely. And what is your day job?
I not very. It's not very artistic. My day job is very. It's the exact other side of the brain. I work in law. I work in franchising law, and I work in personal injury, workers' comp, trademark, you name it.
Yeah,
So that's my day job,
that's your
which
day
is
job.
not that exciting. But you know what? Hey, it pays the bills, so that I can do my hobby.
Well, one of the things I'm trying to do with this podcast is to establish to our listeners that we all have day jobs that aren't that exciting. And please,
Hmm.
please, for the love of God, listen and share so that maybe one day some of us won't have to have day jobs
I
anymore.
think my job's pretty exciting.
Yes,
Sometimes.
yeah, his job at Praxis Motion Pictures is fairly creative and exciting. But I don't know if you know this, Sean. I'm a teacher now. And so
Oh, hey,
that's
where?
what that is. A behavioral school called Gartley Street School in Lisbon, Maine.
Out
And
of behavioral school. So yeah, oh, I know all about that. Both of my kids work for Margaret Murphy.
oh yes,
Which,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
yep. So
Yeah.
I know all about that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit different since Margaret Murphy has a really strong emphasis on autism, and my school has an emphasis on what they call basically like oppositional defiant disorder or whatever. Like basically it's less that you have it's just
Oh,
there's a lot of frustration among our students, and
trust me, Margaret Murphy they have a lot of confrontation. They have
absolutely.
a high conflict section,
Yeah, my
very
husband
high
used to work there.
conflict. Yeah.
And actually, the person who there's a gentleman who this was somewhat based on, and he worked there for years. This podcast was somewhat based on a story
Hmm.
from his life, and he worked there for years. So I've heard everything from Margaret Murphy. I'm deeply acquainted. So
Yeah.
Yes.
And in Auburn.
in Auburn,
And Sean, you've you've done a lot of work with CLT, Community Little Theater,
Oh
also in
yeah.
Auburn.
Oh yes.
Um,
Yes. I'm on their
can you
board
talk?
of directors as
Oh,
well.
you are okay.
I
oh
am.
excellent.
Yeah. So the we shared the first episode preview a couple months ago
Hmm.
to the director. Is that right?
I think it was the executive director. What's the name of the executive director?
There are two. They're co-executive directors. One is Roger Philippon, and
Hmm.
then the other one is Jennifer Groover.
It's
That might be
Jennifer.
it. Was it
Yep.
Jennifer? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we shared this, and she was because so in the second episode, as you may have seen on our Facebook page, we do a shout out in the mid roll, acknowledging a bunch of community theaters that our actors have worked with, basically saying, community theaters work on these very slim margins. They're doing this important job. They were hit hard during the COVID-19 pandemic. So please reach out to the community theater in your hometown, buy tickets, follow their social media. And specifically, we'd like to call out these community theaters. And CLT was one of the ones we listed. So we sent off sort of the script for approval to all of these community theater heads. And Jennifer,
Yeah.
I believe it was Jennifer, got back to us having listened to the sort of sneak preview of episode 1, and she was very encouraging and supportive and excited about it, and it was something we very much needed at that point, because when you're on the home stretch and you have totally lost sight of why you do what you do, it's very important to have people who are supportive. So
yeah, she even said that she was listening to it when the song started playing, that her daughter came out of her room and sat down and listened with her too. And that's a big deal, apparently. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, that would have been about the time they had finished or had just finished Let It Be, probably, which she directed, which was our first show post COVID.
Yeah.
So,
and
I was going to ask, how did you said earlier you have a very not artistic job, but you have but it allows you to do your hobby. Can you talk more about what your hobby is and when you first got involved with that?
Oh, my hobby. Oh, yeah. Acting. Acting is a hobby. I got involved in that because of my daughter. In 2010, my daughter had a small role with, you remember Richard Martin?
I do.
He was a director. He's retired now, but he was a director at CLT, and he was directing Peter Pan. And she had a small role, a couple of ensemble roles, and I had to take her to rehearsal all the time. And so I'd sit in the audience and watch. And one day, Richard came over and said, "Hey, how would you like to help fly Peter Pan?" Because they didn't have anybody for tech to fly Peter Pan. So I said, "Sure, I'm here anyway." So I worked on tech crew for that show, and I had such a good time that when he held auditions for Jekyll and Hyde for 2011, I auditioned to be in front of the curtain, and I got a role as Lord Savage, who gets brutally murdered on stage
Excellent.
in Technicolor by Hyde, and that was my first CLT role. And so I've just been doing show after show after show since then. And then also with Thread, was involved in Thread there for some time, and did a lot of writing for that. So that was also a fun thing to do. And we did writing when we did shows over at the Franco, and that was with Richard. And we did a lot of writing for the Medieval Feasts and the pirate shows there. So
The medieval feast, by the way, was the thing you and Tony were trying
Yeah,
to figure
yeah.
out the other day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yep.
we talked to Tony just a couple days ago, and
we talked quite a bit about Thread.
yeah,
We have to have, I think we're going to need to have a Thread. I think there should be a post-COVID Thread like reunion special.
We've talked about that. The problem was that every time we talked about it, then COVID would come back up, and
Yeah.
we talked about having a one-off, kind of like a reunion
yeah.
at CLT at CLT, and
Yeah.
I'll have to talk to Brandon. Brandon's on the board as well, and he's very open to the idea. But I'd like to do it. I think we're coming back to a time where people will feel comfortable enough to come and to have a like you said, kind of like an homage or a one-off for Thread again. It's been a long, long time,
It has
and I
been.
know a lot of
Yeah.
people miss it. I know a
I
lot of
deeply
people miss it.
Yeah.
It's been gone since the 2019.
And I don't know if you remember the very last day. Were you even at the very last Thread?
I don't think I was.
I
You
was at the
definitely
very last Thread. I was because that was right after Music Man, and the very last Thread I was there. Yes.
So the second to last Thread, I believe what had happened is that there were 3 scripts brought, and I had
Yes.
brought one of them, and I don't remember who brought the other two, but we decided to do all of them twice because why not? There
Yes,
was nothing to do. And
I
so what
heard all
I
about
did,
that. Yeah.
of course you did, because it angered Dan Kane so much. So
Yes,
what
it
I
did.
did for the people at home listening was that as we got into basically the concept of thread. Would you want to? You were the thread. Why don't you explain the concept of thread so that I can tell this
Oh,
phenomenal story?
Thread was basically a cold read theater. It was a place where playwrights and actors could go to brush up on their skills. Once a month, we would get together, and you could bring a 10-minute script, and 10 of them were selected for that night. And you put your name, if you wanted to be have the option of being selected as an actor, in a hat, and they would draw however many actors they would need for that script, and then you had 2 minutes to read it and act it out. And it was great from an actor's perspective because it honed your cold read skills, which is very important. And it
Mhm.
was great for playwrights because you got to play around and have fun. Um, and a venue where, I mean, otherwise it'd be very difficult to do. So it was a great place. We did it for, oh geez, 4 years, a little over four
Tony
years,
said
I think.
3. I think it was like 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe three and a
So
half. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
3.5.
So
Yeah,
the second to last thread that ever happened, only 3 people brought scripts because I
where
mean one of the
Dan was
reasons that
angry.
yeah. So 3 people brought scripts, and so we decided to do all the first time we read through them, we did it the traditional way where you had to pick the actors randomly. But the second time they gave us an option to cast with whoever we would have wanted to cast, right? And so I came to the conclusion that the second time mine was read, I was gonna have Tony Moran do all 3 roles.
Yeah,
And I've never seen Dan Kane more angry about anything in my life. Like
yeah,
he was incredibly mad. And I was just kind of was playing it off. He's like, whatever, I don't care. Here, Tony, you get best actor. Linda, here, you're best writer. I don't even care anymore, and stormed off, right? And then the last thread, the very last thread, Dan Kane wrote a thread script about how I basically was the reason the thread was over.
Wow.
Like it was me casting Tony Moran 3 times that ended thread theater forever because like which I mean wasn't
mhm.
true. Like attendance had been going down for a while. And I honestly I think if you read it, like if you reopened it now, it would be amazing because people want to get out now. Like after 3 years, like back then, people were taking for granted they had all these options, all these things. People would stay home instead of going out because it was too much work.
Well,
But
you would appreciate this, but the big problem with Thread, and that they don't have it down at Crowbait in Portland because
mhm,
Thread was an idea that was taken from Crowbait, which is the same format.
yeah,
Is that writers, it was tough. It was very tough. I mean, you came in toward toward
about the
year
halfway
3.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, and but otherwise, we had to always rely on Dan, Tony, and myself. We had to write for
Mhm.
everyone, and then we had to beg, borrow, and steal before you came to get other people to write. We had other people
Well,
like Jane and a couple of others who would write,
I
but
know
it
I
was
know Bernie
tough.
wrote a couple times too,
yeah,
Oh,
right?
Bernie
Bernie
did
was
write
great,
occasionally.
but then
But then
yeah,
he's
we had a lot of people who moved to different places, and
yeah.
then people we had counted on to write. Bernie
Mhm.
wrote some really great scripts. They were a lot of fun, and then some other people moved away as well, and we just
Well,
couldn't fill those gaps.
one of the things that happened with me is I got pregnant and I couldn't drink anymore. And so pretty much the entire time I was pregnant, I just didn't go to Thread because like I think part of the appeal of Thread is being a little bit just a little bit sloshed, you know? And so the entire time I was pregnant, I didn't come and I remembered like Tony or you or Dan like text like finding me on Facebook like are you coming tonight? And I'm like, I'm not feeling up to it, but I was very confused as to why it was important to them that I show up. Like I never understood that. Now that you're contextualizing it, that it was hard to get writers. That makes sense because it's not an easy thing to write for. I can't tell you
Well,
the number of times I went over 10
no,
minutes, like quite a bit.
I've had a lot of people tell me
Mhm.
that it's much easier to get up on stage and act than it is to actually write something that people act out, and
Mhm.
I actually had a. Uh, it's difficult. Some people don't understand how difficult it is to put your thoughts down on page and then have people perform them.
Yeah.
A lot of people are very critical of that, but it's not easy to do.
Well, and
Some
I
scripts are
I
easy to write, some are not.
I took a
Yeah.
lot of risks with the stuff I put on at Thread,
Oh, I
and there was
remember all
one.
the risks you took because I was
Yeah.
there. Yes,
Yeah. Yes, but
dolphin
there was
sex
one.
being one of
Okay,
them.
yes.
That was one.
Dolphin rape, and it was an allegory. Like
Yeah, I
the whole
know.
time I was making points about how people don't believe women, but I was making them in a hilarious
I
dolphin
know,
rape
but
way.
Dan Kane had to
And
have so much therapy as a result of that. I think that's
I was he it was Jay Barrett who was playing the man who
yes,
had an encounter
yes.
with the dolphin,
And
and
I'll
he
have you
milked
know that
every
shortly
line.
after he played that role, he disappeared, and no one has seen him
Yeah,
since.
that's true.
We did see him
Which is
actually one
true.
time.
Which is
He paid for our
absolutely
dinner.
true. He's
We
That
gone,
we
and he may be living in a hut somewhere in Key West trying to talk to dolphins because of that script.
Okay, so for the record,
probably right.
we did see him about a year, 2 years ago in August. We were out for it was in August. It was August 8th of 2000 and whatever, and you and I were out because we had just launched Linco and we were having like a celebratory dinner, and they sat us down at this restaurant next to Jay Barrett and I think his blind date. And
Yeah, what was that? What restaurant was that?
it was, I don't know, we were outdoors. Like
What we were in Portland.
we were in Portland. Yeah. I don't remember, but either way,
That's right.
like he came up and he introduced himself to Colby and just kept, he was like, I've seen you around, blah blah blah. Like I remember, like, you know, they knew each other decently. Didn't acknowledge me at all. And finally I'm like, do you not remember Dolphin Rape Girl or whatever, something like that? And he's just like trying to quiet me down because he clearly doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of this woman. And then he ended up paying for our dinner.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like we
That's
didn't pay
right.
for the dinner. Like we asked for the check, and they're like, "That guy took care
Oh,
of it." And we're like,
I miss Jay. I always wondered what happened to him. I miss him. He did a lot of stuff with the Feast, and he did a lot of stuff at CLT, and then he just
Yeah.
"Yeah, he's a
disappeared.
good
And
guy."
I've always wondered what happened. He's such a We had a lot of fun.
All right, well, you
We
heard
had
it
a lot
here
of fun.
first, folks. Jay Barrett, if you're somewhere in the distance, please come back and talk to Tony because Tony would probably love to hear you too. But
Tony would love to
talk to
hear from
Sean.
him too. Yeah,
Yes,
he
I am
was.
sorry.
Yeah.
I've been editing together Tony footage
No
for the last
worries.
3 days, so that's the name on my mind.
No
Sean, I have a
worries.
question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're an actor,
Mhm.
and there are
I
a lot of
certainly
different
hope
types
so.
of yeah. He's
Sort
acting
of.
right now.
Yeah.
There are lots of different
Yeah.
types of acting, obviously. So we talked a little bit about improv theater, like regular live theater. You've done musicals, and you've been on screen as well. So, and now you're a voice
Now a
actor.
voice actor, yeah.
Was
Oh
being
yeah.
part of Once in a Lifetime the first time you've done just a voice role?
I think so. I'm just trying to remember. I've done bits and pieces here and there, but I think that's the first time I actually. God, yes, it is. That was the
Let's go
first
with
time
that.
I was just a voice. Right? Yes, that was just a voice. Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
I know it's not as I mean, you were basically just reading headlines as a newscaster,
Right.
so it wasn't
Oh,
as sort of
listen,
engaging
I
as a
I love voice acting because a lot of I use accents. I'm using accents in a show coming up. I get to play a Russian for the first time, and
Ooh, a Russian. That's an exciting accent.
a Russian ballet instructor, and so I love voice acting. I would like to get more into voice acting. Actually, um, it's I find it very interesting.
totally different process too.
Oh, absolutely a different process, and but it's one that I'd like to pursue that. There's a lot of
Can,
flexibility in that,
can you
but
tell
it's
us a
also
little bit
very
more about
interesting.
the? Can you tell us a little bit more about the role, the Russian that you're
The
playing?
Russian ballet
Oh,
instructor.
in at CLT, there's we're going to start rehearsals. Actually, we have started rehearsals for a show called "You Can't Take It With You," which is set in 1938. Frank Capra actually made a film of it back in
Mhm.
1938 with Jimmy Stewart, and won an
Kids
Oscar.
love Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, he's in
Did
this movie.
anybody
And it's
else
about.
did anybody else ever hire Jimmy Stewart other than Frank Capra? Because every
I don't
time
think
I've
he
heard of a
had
Jim
to. I don't
yeah.
think he had to. I think Jimmy Stewart was set after that point. But
God bless the studio system, right?
yep, it was about a kind of a wacky family who. One of the people they have come into their life is one of the women at the house has ballet instruction by Colin, who's a ballet instructor who's absolutely mad at Stalin, being 1938.
Mhm.
And it's a comedy. It opens in June, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for plugging that because we were gonna ask you if you had any projects in the works that you wanted to plug. So that's you can't take it
Well,
with
there you
you.
go. That's the first one, and we've been in some COVID projects. We had a couple of things. We did Love Letters, which was a one-off
Mhm.
at CLT, which was a fundraiser, and that was interesting. Um, and we did a couple of other things, but this is the first show since Annie.
Oh, wow, yes,
Um,
you did you saw Annie
That's the
with
one.
me. That's the
Yeah.
one we saw you in last.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh yeah, okay, yes, right. 2019, November 2019. So, and that
gosh.
was the
Oh wow.
last musical until we did Let It Be
Okay.
Oh
just
wow.
a couple months ago.
Wow, excellent. Alright, well, we're trying to keep this one shorter than the last one. Do you have any specific questions for Sean?
Um. No, nothing specific.
We're very excited for you to, one of the interesting things, as Colby mentioned, that you were a voice actor, and so as the newscaster, your role has very little to do with the plot of the actual like, the character's
Yeah,
plot.
it's a
Like, you're basically
contextual role, right?
right, yeah, absolutely. And so we're very excited to have you, make your way through all 6 episodes because you don't really know that much at all about the plot as of right now, do you?
Vaguely, but only through what has been put out on social media about uh,
Yeah.
this woman's experience during the quarantine.
Yeah, 2 women actually, yeah,
Two
Faith and
women,
Charlie. So
right?
we
Well,
are
her and then who she finds, right? Yeah.
right,
Nope.
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, we're very excited to, get your reactions to it because we think you're gonna be we have gotten very good feedback so far from the people we've managed to convince to listen to it.
To watch it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Take a look at this, please. Like how? Oh, you just put your headphones on your eyes and you're good.
Yes,
Yeah.
or we will be uploading so we're gonna be uploading this, interview to YouTube, and we will be, putting out chunks on social media, so people can certainly watch this, and they can watch hopefully, we will be having quite a few of these cast interviews. We hope to do it with every member of the cast because we
Good.
really it's been tough to make people really feel involved because, like, you came in and recorded with us, like, a year to a year and a half ago at this point.
Oh yeah,
I think it
it's
was
been
a
a while.
Almost
year.
a year.
Yeah,
Almost a
Yeah.
year ago.
yeah, and so it was like you came in one day, you read your stuff, you did a phenomenal job, and Colby and I have been hearing your voice ever since. You've got a little bit of serious on you.
Yeah.
Colby and I have been hearing your voice ever since because we've been editing these together, and the newscasters, you're actually in every single episode. Very few characters in this are in every single episode, but you are. And we
Yeah,
have
your voice is going to be recognized
the
by the
world
world.
over. Yes, absolutely. So
Oh, good. Maybe I'll get more voice acting gigs. Why
well,
not?
that's the thing. If you help promote this, it will help promote you, my friend.
Hey, there you go.
It's gonna be a
Quid pro quo, Clarice.
absolutely. Oh
Exactly.
wow, that just got like cleaner. That like it was odd that it took that that was the moment where you got louder because the Clarice just kind
Yeah,
of
it
buzzed
was.
through my head in a very menacing way. So
Yeah.
maybe that was just the power of your voice acting, giving that sort of ASMR effect for me right there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and talking to us, Sean. It's been a pleasure. We miss you very much. Eventually, we will be having a cast party once
Yeah.
we finish
Yeah, yeah.
everything we need to do.
Once the world
So,
returns to normal,
yeah, absolutely.
or a new normal.
Well, I think we're as close as we might be getting for a while. I think this might
Yeah,
be
maybe so.
I think we've
Maybe
already
so.
arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
But
isn't so bad.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
keep me posted, guys.
Can live with this.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you for your time,
Excellent.
Sean. Great to see you.
Hey, anytime. All right, guys.
Alrighty. Take care.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
We gotta stop.